Hello, and today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about imposter syndrome, what causes this. Now I hope that you spent the time to watch my first video in this series on imposter syndrome, in which we discuss the imposter syndrome and the 5 types that are associated with it. If not, I'd like you to spend some time and go back and watch it potentially before this one. And before we get moving, don't forget to like. If you do, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to touch the notifications icon, as this will let you know when I've put up new videos on all things psychologically mindful. Also, keep watching to the end of the video, as I'll give you a task to complete over the next week to help you understand how imposter syndrome can start. You will be relating this to yourself. Have you ever thought in your mind, I'm a total fraud? If people only knew who I am. Many of us have at one time or another, and this is an excellent example of imposter syndrome. As discussed in the previous video, imposter syndrome is defined as feelings of incompetence, inadequacy, and feeling like a fraud despite having success. Individuals with this syndrome often find it difficult to acknowledge their competence. So what leads us to having this imposter syndrome? There is no clear answer to this question, and it is thought to be a mix of both internal and external factors. Internal being related to your personality style, for example, perfectionism being closely linked to this syndrome, attachment in early life, and external being family background, that is your family dynamics, your relationships with others, your environment, as well as culture and society. I think we can all attest that in today's busy society, we tend to value successes and achievements beyond all else. We're valuing this above kindness and peacefulness and compassion. The culture we live in, particularly in the 21st century, and the expectations we grow up with can create a pressure cooker for people in which the mentality of I must show my worth through my successes becomes the norm. Let's delve a little bit deeper into some of these possible causes of imposter syndrome. Individual personality traits or styles such as perfectionism, comparing the self to others, which can also lead to feelings of inadequacy if you think you are not at the same level or achieving as much as those around you. This can lead to someone trying to become who they think they need to be as a potential survival mechanism. It can be linked with people who are more emotionally reactive and self-focused. Some of the external influences which can lead to imposter syndrome are family dynamics. These are the expectations you experienced growing up in your family unit, how success was determined, and your relationship with those that brought you up, for example, your mom and dad. Were your parents perfectionists in terms of expecting 100% success from you or deeming results as a failure? Perhaps you ran a race and came in third, and your parents saw this as just not good enough. This then influences us to believe that we are not good enough, and hence the imposter syndrome may start to build within you. It can also start with families that promote their child as superior to other children. This may be in terms of intellect or physical ability. The child then forms a belief they should be able to do anything and achieve anything without difficulty. When these children or adults find themselves in situations they struggle with, thoughts such as, well, maybe I'm not as good as others, it surfaces, and then the thoughts of the imposter syndrome begin. Culture and stereotypes. We are all exposed to certain stereotypes growing up. Societal stereotypes may label certain groups of people as incompetent, less intelligent, etc. We internalize these stereotypes and believe them accurate, leading to feelings of insecurity in roles or positions not pigeonholed for the stereotype we hold. This can lead to feelings of being an imposter in your role. Life changes and transitions, such as changing jobs, being promoted to a higher position, or graduating from studies, etc., can trigger imposter thoughts, such as, if people only knew who I am, if they knew that I can't do this, that is, this fear of failure.
Now I'd like to end this video by giving you 2 case examples of imposter syndrome. These examples are taken from clients I've treated, of course, maintaining anonymity, and of course, confidentiality associated with that person.
Let's start with James. James let me know that he had dreams from a young age of being an accountant. However, his parents were not supportive of this career path, and as he matured, they became more vocal of their reasons they did not think he should be an accountant or progress towards the same. James did push through and study to become an accountant at university, despite his parents trying to dissuade him and stop him from doing this. When he landed his first job in an accountancy firm, he believed he needed to prove his parents wrong and show them that his chosen career was the right thing for him. He worked very long hours and took on responsibilities in the workplace that far exceeded his role. When his colleagues gave him any praise or commented on how much he was taking on and doing on the job, he downplayed it to himself and worked longer and harder. His motivation for pushing himself so hard was to prove to his parents he was a competent and respected accountant. Unfortunately, James pushed himself so hard that he developed chronic stress and panic attacks. He had to resign from his position. The second case example is about Christine. Christine spoke about being a gifted child growing up. She spoke of her family as being high achievers and expecting success. She states that she found study came quite easily to her, and she was placed in the high achieving class at school. She often said that she received awards at school for her achievements. When choosing a career path, Christine struggled to identify a way to pursue. She states she was interested in teaching or working in health, but these areas were largely unknown. She excelled in maths and economics, but these were not her passions. She did not pursue teaching or the health arena due to an intense fear of failure or not being the best. She pursued a career in business instead, an area she was guaranteed to excel in, and pushed her passions aside. These 2 case examples illustrate how imposter syndrome can start to occur and what it can lead to.
Imposter syndrome can create a vicious cycle for people. Fear, failure, and being found out to be who you are become the worst impossible outcome. Due to this not being necessary, people can develop significant anxiety symptoms and a range of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, such as perfectionism and procrastination, just to name a few. They are unhelpful coping strategies not to be found out as an imposter, and so the cycle perpetuates.
I would like to leave you with an exercise to complete. This activity relates to feelings of inadequacy or perceived failure. So firstly, think back to when you believe you failed at something. Maybe it was at work or something you were trying to achieve. And secondly, write down what you were trying to do and how you believed you failed at it. And thirdly, next, I want you to write down 1 to 3 things you learned from this perceived failure. And fourthly, now it's time to reevaluate if you failed or if you learnt some crucial lesson from the process of not getting it 100% right.
Please think back to what we have discussed about imposter syndrome so far and the fear of failing. What have you learned from this? Now Now, before I go, please like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to touch the notifications icon, as this will let you know when I put out new videos on all things psychologically minded. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.